We'll call the meeting to order. All rise. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Got Jones. Here, roll call.
Callahan? Here. Houston?
Here.
Hannah?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
And Jensen is excused.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and second. All those in favor signify saying aye.
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 All right. We have public comment. I see we have one person. I can't read his name. Oh, Joe Olson. Would you come on up?
Hi, I'm Joe Olson. I live on 2003 206th Street, just north of the border. Today being Valentine's Day, I couldn't pass up an opportunity to share a Valentine and also to tell you a little project that I'm involved in that has just kind of morphed into a really neat deal. Al has a bunch of vision statements in his office, and each one of those, at some place in there where they talk about community beautification, they talk about murals and how cool murals are. Well, fast forward to my relationship with John Decker, a local artist, and we've been we're talking about that. And so a lot of times mural proposals cost a lot of money in their attack on a grant, et cetera, et cetera. So we decided to just go ahead and do it ourselves, see if we could. So John went out and talked to Casey Stoner at Signs and More, and then they come back with this projection of what it might look like. So I'll pass this around. This isn't the real deal, but this is what the first one might look like. Well, and as you look at that, the paint job is bad. And John said, I don't want a mural up there unless it's painted. So he got it painted, and then Casey said, well, you know, I can take a picture of this, turn it in, put it on a vinyl, and then they have these brackets so you can slip it in. So that was the first one. Then there was a Christmas one, and now the Valentine's Day. So we've been kind of trying to up our promotion of this, and one of them was, this time, go down in front of the Valentine in Brimmer Park, get your picture taken with your Valentine, and share it with your other Valentines. So here's an example. That was kind of a dud, actually. Not too many people did that. So now in the works are 2 more murals. And they will be privately funded, one by Laces. Actually, up until this point, John has not only been the artist, but he's also foot the bill for this. But it's a neat project, and it's kind of one of those catalysts that we talk about, where will it generate other interest in murals? Could we do a series of John Decker murals? Somebody else's murals? I don't know. The fish one is now in the entrance of the Falcon Civic Center, because Bob Beatty said, well, you know, we got a swimming pool, we'll put that up. Nice deal. So that's kind of where we're at with it. And going forward, we'll have some other themed murals up there. I hope you get down there. I was going to ask how many of you were aware of the other spot in town where this was, but at least you all are now. Check it out. Brimmer Park, especially when there's no truck traffic, is a really cool spot. And so there's some other ideas percolating about Brimmer Park, but I don't really know where that's going to go. So, any questions, comments?
It's a neat idea, Joe.
Very nice idea.
Well, it's been kind of working together, and it's reasonably cost for what we get. But, you know, to get a way to thank John or to thank Nikki or Bob, who've kind of Signs and More have kind of made this happen, please do, because that charges the batteries.
All right, thank you, Joe.
You betcha.
Thanks, sir. All right, next on the agenda is swearing in of our newest council member. Then you hide it. Watch out for her, John. All right. Brian, I welcome you to the council.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this is, if you'd read along with me, we'll get you sworn in and you get a baptism by fire tonight.
Okay, not a problem.
I
Brian Persader,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability, discharge all the duties of the position of at-large council member in the City of Independence as now or hereafter required by law.
and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability, discharge all duties of the position of at-large city council member in the City of Independence as now or hereinafter required by law.
Okay, well, there we go. Did you want a picture of Brian? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Brian. I need you to sign all three of them, and then I'll sign them, and you get one copy. And you owe the city $50 every 2 weeks.
That's better than I heard, so that's,
Did anybody tell him that when he ran? Susie?
I didn't tell him that, no.
Can't depend on her. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Gonna follow it.
Welcome aboard, Brian.
pardon?
That is
That's Deb.
Deb Hannah. on
What's
the
that,
phone.
Deb?
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is to accept the consent agenda, which is the motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the January 24th, 2022 regular meeting, the minutes of the January 31st, 2022 special meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first motion, second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
okay. Motion carries. The financials, let's see. Where'd they go? Okay, here we go. I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims for payment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions on anything that were on the claims? Okay, all those in favor of approving the claims, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carried. The B, bank reconciliation, and C, revenues and expenses to date are for information for the council members. Any questions on any of those for anybody? All right. Okay, next is petitions from the public. Craig Hughes from Blue Buffalo. Welcome, Craig.
Good evening. Yeah, my name's Craig Hughes. I'm the plant manager at Blue Buffalo. Al was out to see us here a few weeks ago, and I just wanted to come by and say hi, introduce myself, answer any questions you might have. As you probably realize, we took over the old Tyson treat plant, and I know there's been some confusion. Originally, when they first took it over, it was all branded Heartland Pet Food Manufacturing, which is essentially just the manufacturing division of Blue Buffalo. And when the Bishops originally started, all their products were manufactured outside of the company. And then when they started putting plants together, we have a plant in Joplin, Missouri, and one in Yes, one here and one in Richmond, Indiana, that I helped start up a few years ago. And they felt like they needed a manufacturing division, so that's why they did that. We try and brand ourselves mainly as Blue Buffalo, but we are then owned by General Mills. So if you drive by the plant right now, you'll see a big G on the plant. That's because we're part of General Mills. So purchased the plant back in July, and Blue Buffalo had its own treat, the product line, but Tyson had developed a product line that really fit well with what Blue Buffalo is doing. And so they offered it up for sale, and Blue Buffalo bought it real quick, and I was asked to come in and help convert from Tyson over to Blue Buffalo. In fact, in March 6th, we do the official conversion from all the Tyson systems over to Blue Buffalo. So we'll be standing kind of on our own, so to speak, at that point. So I've been with Blue Buffalo for several years now. I had officially retired and moved back to, I'm an old Nebraska boy, so I was back in Ashland, Nebraska, which is outside of Omaha. Got asked to come back and get this plant going. So Blue wants to be a part of every community where we're located, so we want to do more in this, the city, or be, a good neighbor and all that, as much as we can. So anytime there's something going on that you may need some corporate sponsorship or things like that, we are more than willing to look at that. We want to be an active member in the community. So that's really all I've got. I had no real agenda other than just to introduce myself, unless you guys have any questions or comments or anything.
Yes, one, employment level, are you going to stay the same or go?
Well, we would really like to grow. I mean, we're struggling like everybody else is right now, and we're trying to understand the market. We went through one pay increase and are now looking at considering, potentially another, because we continue to struggle to bring folks in. The one thing with Blue Buffalo, we try to establish what we call the buff culture, and so we're very picky, about who we bring in, and so we've whittled down, quite frankly, the number of folks we have in the plant, and now we're kind of at that crossroads where we need to bring in either more people or we've got to come up with some new capital improvements that we can run, with less people. We are currently have on the books about $9 to $10 million worth of capital projects just to kind of get the plant back up to speed. It's a good building, but it had been left to some disrepair, and so we've got a lot of things we need to fix. But we look, right now we're 140 people per se, and if you went with the ownership model, we need to be in the 200 plus range. We would like to be, I'd like to be maybe 140, 150. I think we run our process a little differently in that. So we're looking at, right now we run a 3-shift operation. We're really struggling on second shift as we stand right now. At some point, if we get our processes running the way we want them to run and get some of that investment done, we would eventually look to be a 24/7 plant. But we're a long ways from that right now. So,
Do you market just American or do you overseas?
pretty much just American right now. Blue Buffalo as a whole. When I say the bishops, if you ever go on to bluebuff.com, you can read and watch some videos on the story of Blue Buffalo, how it came to be. But at one point, we were trying to go everywhere. We do a lot of Canadian, a lot of stuff up into Canada, and some overseas, but not a whole lot. But most of the stuff coming out of this plant are huge into Costco, Sam's, into PetSmart, Petco, and things like that. We're very much a specialty, high-end dog treat, and the business is just exploding. The pandemic has not hurt the dog food business or the dog treat business at all. So
I remember the Tyson people talking about the quality control for American pet products much better than some of the overseas Asian, and so that's been a big selling point. That's
Well,
with you?
yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we stand on, is the quality. We're a premium pet food manufacturer. We stake, you know, we hang our hat on the fact that all natural, you know, best ingredients and all that. The two dog food plants, I helped start up the plant in Indiana. That one will put out 1.2, 1.3 million pounds of dog food a day. Joplin will do about 1.5 million pounds a day, which it just blows me away. When you're there and you watch how much dog food goes out, it's unbelievable. And then you add up, you know, on what we do, we do about 100,000 pounds a day, or about 250,000 pounds a week right now out of here. But then we're only about 40% of our capacity. We have some co-manufacturers that are putting out the rest of that. But if we could do 3 times, 4 times what we are currently producing, the market's there. They bought a business that our capacity was less than what the demand is. So it's a good problem to have, but yet it's also a very frustrating problem right now.
I know the people that started the pet treat when Mayor Scharf was mayor, he had some visions, and not to put Tyson's down, but I think corporate had different visions than what he had.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting to me, they started that business, and then it's not, and they're very successful. The group that started it are now with us in Blue, and a great product, great marketing, but, you know, for whatever reason, Tyson did not want to follow through on that. You know, they obviously have their hands in a lot of different things, so, but the product they developed fit right with what Blue Buffalo's doing, so that's why they purchased it.
Are they staying with the same name brand, the Nudges and the True Chews? And
Yeah, and of course there will be some rebranding. There's a lot of excitement about Blue Buffalo is really big on the marketing side of things, and so there's real hope that once we start marketing with where it's branded, it'll still be Nudges, for example, but the stamp on it will be Blue Buffalo instead of Tyson. And so then, but the problem is right now, we don't need to market it, because if we do, we're just going to drive demand up higher than what we can produce anyway. So, you know, we're in that interesting stage right now. We can't make enough of it right now. So, I mean, that's good. But yes, the Nudges and True Chews, that main branding will stay the same. There'll be some consolidation amongst products. Our Joplin plant will start making some of the treats down there as well to support us.
Very good.
Anyone else? Well, we'd like to welcome to the independence, and we're thankful you put your trust in our community.
All right, well, and again, please, if there's anything we can do from a city standpoint to help support anything, we've got some really great people, and we want to continue to add to that. They've already participated in like the trunk for treat and different things, and they're excited about doing that stuff. We just don't know what to get involved in yet a whole lot. But we've joined the chamber. We're on the booster board now at the school, so hopefully you'll start seeing us around a little bit more. So.
Thank you. Welcome.
Only one thing you need to do is probably find a Hawkeye or Cyclone
No,
cap, and you'll
no,
fit right in.
that's not going to happen. I have a lot of fun with this, but it's all in fun, so.
Well, thank you very
All
much.
right, well, thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Craig.
Craig didn't address the rumor that he's with the plant until Nebraska finds a way to beat Iowa, but I just heard the rumor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Nikki, next.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
So I'm just here tonight to kind of give you guys an idea.
if you didn't already know that this year is the 175th anniversary of independence. So a group of people, Bob, myself, Leanne, Joe and Judy Olson, Lisa Kramer, Michelle McBride, who am I forgetting? I said you, Bob. Several people have met a couple times now, and this is kind of a rough draft calendar for the year. When I say rough draft, this is really rough. There's some events that'll probably come in, maybe a few things on this calendar for dates will be switched around. It's pretty straightforward. Two of the biggest things that we'll be doing is, if you see on July 1st, we'd like to have a downtown celebration, kind of a downtown street dance, food vendors. We've asked John to ask his Classic Car Club if they would like to park the cars along the bridge. And so I talked with Chief Niedert. He came to the office last week, and we talked about the downtown celebration and the parade route. So hoping that we will be able to get the parade route in there in its normal spot, or we haven't for a couple of years, so hopefully we'll get to go back to that. That downtown celebration, like I said, we want to do food trucks, we want to have music, all of that kind of stuff, so that will be kind of fun. And then we do the 3rd and the 4th, all of their celebration. We are going to do a community time capsule. We're going to ask community members to also participate in that. There's a lot of just different things on this calendar. And I know that when we put in our request from the chamber for funding for hotel motel tax, we did ask for $5,000 for this, and it was brought to my attention that maybe some city council members might have thought that that money would have been used for something different, like finishing out the speaker project or being put towards different stuff. I just want to let you know that's not the case, which is a little disheartening that that had even been mentioned. But I do realize that we, as a total, asked for $10,000 for events from the chamber and for this celebration. One of the reasons we did ask for $5,000 for over the course of the year for the celebration is because the big party on July 1st is probably going to cost more than $5,000. But we already have the 4th of July committee who is already asking for sponsorship for stuff like that. We might be able to get some people to sponsor it, but probably not at our normal off, had we had it at a different time. But we wanted to really keep it close to June 15th, which is the anniversary date. So just kind of wanted to go through that with you. If anybody has any questions, maybe clear some things up.
Well, I know that will be hard to keep. John and Mike probably won't show up on July 1st, even though there's a special brew being made
Yes.
just for Independence that day
Yeah.
by Allerton. So you guys, I beg you to come down and try a beer.
Okay.
I can force myself.
Okay.
Yes, it'll be a special brew that will only be sold for the weekend or until it runs out. So, and another thing that we're going to do over the 125th and the 150th, there were special commemorative coins that were made. We are going to have those made again. We will auction the first one off the night of the chamber banquet. It'll be coin number 1. There will be special benefits that go along with that. But different this year from previous years with those coins is there will only be 175 of them. And when we sell them, it will be, those funds also will go towards funding these things throughout the year also. So,
I had asked Nikki to come and talk to the council because I remember with our discussion, we were a little confused on that second 5,000, and I thought this was good to bring this to our attention, what the purpose of it was.
And really for that July 1st, $5,000 probably won't even cover that July 1st party.
And what they're trying to do is to not make it a one date type of celebration. As you notice, it goes down through generally every month there is something going on.
Yeah.
So that we kind of keep that in mind that all year that it's the Independence's 175th dedicated, I guess, founding.
It is a very long word that I cannot pronounce what it is, something centennial, so,
Sesquicentennial.
no, I think is that what it is? It's weird, it's like,
75th?
yeah. It has like sub and blah, it's a lot, it's a big word. I'll leave it, okay, whatever Mike says.
So the group is very, very energetic. They've had just tons of things, suggestions, and we only have one drawback. We have no money.
And I would look for maybe events, smaller events, like Judy Olson has put a lot of time into, as we all know, like the history of independence. And she, some of these, like the story of the Great Fire, downtown walking tour, she's going to highlight like the north block, and then she's going to highlight the south side, and then like the Chamber block in Chatham, and 3 different separate walking tours over the summer. So, and we'll have our regular, underground tour, all those kinds of things too. But history of photographers, history of the Malik. We're looking to hopefully, there's a person within the county has done a lot of research and is actually currently writing a book about the racetrack. We're hoping to have her in at one time to talk. I just got an email from Laura Blaker at the library today, and she wants to team up with us and with the chamber to do some programming there also, so.
We're going to still have the spelling bee.
Yes, we want to have a spelling bee on the porch at the Lee Mansion. We just don't have it in here as a date yet. But all of these, like I said, all of these dates are subject to change, except our big things. The downtown celebration, the Chamber Awards banquet, the 3rd and the 4th of July, obviously. The things that are like set, usually year by year, those are the things that'll stay. But some of these smaller things in between might shift in months, or just a Saturday to a different Saturday within that month, so.
That spelling bee will be wide open because knowing my abilities, I've reclused myself from the spelling bee. I didn't, one word and I'd been sitting down, actually, but thank you,
know
Nikki.
what the exact anniversary date is?
June 15th.
June.
Yep, it is June 15th, and we'd like to do a community anniversary toast on First Street Bridge, and you see behind there, it says the golden hour, so like right around the 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock hour when the sun is setting, it looks really pretty over the mill and the street and the river and all of that, so.
I'd like to maybe try to talk Blake or somebody with the, take a picture of everybody on the bridge for the.
One thing we did discuss is going out to the football field and mapping out like 1, 7, and 5 and having everybody, like if you're in the 1, you'd wear red, if you're in the 7, you'd wear white, and if you're in the 5, you'd wear blue, and have Blake go up and take a big picture. So, just to go in the time capsule, of course.
In
So,
72, everything took place down at the parking lot down here across from Methodist Church.
did it?
Yeah.
That was just a few years before my time. Not many.
No, I think a lot of good ideas, and we can't do the horse race around the school track. I found that out.
Yeah. We thought maybe just by chance we could throw that in
But
there.
Al said we could maybe use the old football field.
Oh,
See how I put him on the spot?
Right.
yeah.
So, well, thank you. and
Thank you.
Appreciate
Any
all
other
your work.
questions? Nope. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki.
Fire department.
Yeah.
Next on it is annual update from the fire department. Dick?
Well, I'll try to keep this short unless you guys got some comments. I think you got enough other stuff on your list here, so I'm just going to kind of, rather than read through all this, I'll just kind of hit some high points and some stuff that might not be on there, but otherwise I'll keep it kind of short for you guys. As it says on there, last year we answered 162 calls, fire calls, accidents, whatever that emergency might be. 122 of those were in the city, 17 Washington Township, 15 Sumner Township, and then mutual aid surrounding communities. Along with that, we also, and part of that 162 calls was we assisted the ambulance service 9 times, whether it was for a driver or whatever they needed, lifting assist or whatever they needed for. So, which figured into 1,327 man-hours or an average of 88.2 hours per call. So not that each average call length was 8.2 hours, but with the people there, it's averaged 8.2 hours. On top of that, we had 1,280 hours of training last year throughout the department, which was actually an average of 41 hours per firefighter. So that's a lot. You figure that that's a pretty good commitment that they've made. With that, we also lost 3 guys that were pretty valuable. We had lost Lieutenant Adam Kuzi. I shouldn't say lost. That sounds bad, but they are for whatever reason, they resigned from the department. But Adam had 15 years. He was our lieutenant, so we kind of counted on him for a lot of expertise and knowledge there. Ben Reif had 5 years, and then Lane Zahorik only had 4 years, but he brought a lot to the table with his experience throughout before he got to us. Did a lot there with us. So, and we had Justin Tone with 2 years. So with that, we also brought on Casey Clinton, Christian Blade, Roy Nicholas, and Trent Irvine. None of those guys have much experience, but they're gaining it, and they're all very eager to learn. So good group of guys that are coming up to take the place there. So, but back up on the calls, I thought it was kind of interesting that comments been made a few different times about the townships and the city. With those calls, 75% of the calls were within the city limits, 20% were in the townships, and then 5% were mutual aid calls. So that kind of breaks it down on how our department split up throughout the communities too. So I thought that was interesting. Another little side note there was our busiest day was Fridays and I won't say Fridays at 7 o'clock because I don't know that was it, but then the most busiest time of the day was 7 o'clock at night. So just thought that was interesting that,
Tea time.
So a little tea time. So with that, do you guys have any comments, any questions, any other additional information you'd like to have?
Oh, thank you, Dick.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you guys, appreciate it.
We appreciate everything the fire department
Yes,
does
we
for
do.
the
Thank you. Oh, and I almost forgot, as a deal out there, if you're not busy tomorrow night between 5 and 7, we do have our soup supper tomorrow night.
Excellent.
So keep that in mind. If you're hungry and you don't want to come inside, they're doing a drive-up this year, so we'll see how that turns out.
That's a good
So
idea.
it's kind of like a carry-out, but you don't even have to get out of your car. Just drive up, they'll hand it to you, and away you go.
I saw it was at the fairgrounds for the
Yeah.
other deal.
Well, and that's kind of where they got the idea from, so.
Worked out well.
Yep. So there's a group of guys that got together, and they planned it, and they figured it all out, all the logistics of it, and it should be good.
Will it be chili and vegetable, like?
Yep, it'll be the same thing we've had, other than last year, we didn't have anything, but every other year, yep, the chili and the beef stew.
Great.
So,
And you
Come
have
on out.
quality
See you then.
assurance on the chili powder from several years back?
yeah, I'll tell you what, Bob, I'll have some special stuff made up just for you. Make you
Yeah,
sweat.
I'll look forward to that. I'm going to
Okay.
sneak through the line.
All right, you'll get some sweat on the forehead if you want it. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have hearings and ordinances, Chapter 3, Wards, Precincts Amendment, Public Hearing and First Reading. The first action here would be a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All right, first and second, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The motion passed. We are now in public hearing if we had any written? No written?
Not for this.
Al, maybe explain why we had to do this?
Our ordinances mimic the ordinances of previous years when we have done the redistricting. The Secretary of State's office had a change of heart, if you will, in their interpretation of the state code. Our current ordinance says ward. It references the wards that we operate under. They want the word precinct added in front of ward, so it'll be precinct-ward. That's the only change to the redistricting, but they do want that language in there, so we have to adopt the ordinance in accordance with their interpretation of the code.
Right. Any other comments, questions?
So the population's changed pretty much in conjunction with the redistricting, the lines, boundary lines and stuff?
Yes, I mean, everything that's in there is, it's already been approved, it's already been accepted by the state, it's just the ordinance language adding the word precinct. But all of that reflects the new census data received from.
Sounds good.
Okay. Anyone else?
You have a,
Oh, yes. Would you want to come on up?
A little bit more volume back here.
Oh.
I can't hear it all. This lady here is not.
Okay. All right, we will try to speak up. All right?
Thank you.
I'll try to use my old coaching voice. John, don't laugh. Okay, are there any other questions or comments? All right, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So
Receive
moved.
and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, the first motion a motion to approve the first reading, and I'll entertain that.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, first and second, roll call on this.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
All right, the first reading passes. We do have the option, normally, we try to do the full 3 readings on things, but since we had already taken care of this, and this is just a verbal change or a word change, we do have a motion to waive the requirement of 3 considerations of this ordinance prior to the final passage, and have this measure placed on its final passage for adoption pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a first and a second, roll call on this.
Hannah,
No.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Next item is, okay. Oh, down here. All right, the next item is to
Helping you out.
She's training me. This is still only my 3rd meeting, so she's training me on this. All right, the maximum levy hearing for fiscal year 2023. That would be the year July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. Strange time. Most of us are on a calendar year. City and state are at that time, and then I think the federal government is September, aren't they?
October.
October 1st.
October. So, but this is for the budget for July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. The maximum hearing is not to approve our actual budget. The state legislature a couple of years ago said that you needed 2 hearings, that first you have a hearing saying what the maximum levy would be. That's kind of up here in the sky. We cannot approve a budget that would be above what we talk about tonight. This will not be our budget levy. Will be a second hearing that will actually talk about where we do set it. But this is required. We can't go any higher than this.
On the line items included in the max levy hearing, which is not all levy line items. So,
It's confusing. I know it's confusing for the people on TV and the audience and for the council too, but it's a hoop we have to jump through. So, motion to hold public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. Any comments from the public or from,
I'm sorry.
during public hearing time for anyone to have comments, questions? Okay. This was published. As Al said, not every item that's on the final budget's even listed in this, so it is a strange hoop to jump through. So,
I'd make a motion to close the hearing.
okay, a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. And now there is a motion to approve a resolution on the maximum levy for the fiscal year 2023, Senate File 634, maximum levy budget. And this would be a roll call.
I'd make a motion.
Second.
All right, roll call?
Kurtz.
Yes.
Prusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next item is to set, motion to set the date of public hearing for March 14th, 2022 at 4:45 PM in City Hall Council Chambers for the approval of the fiscal budget year 2023 budget and budget transactions.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and this can be done by voice.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? For everyone listening, this is the meeting you want to attend and pay attention to what comes out in the papers, because this will be what we propose as our budget for the next year. Okay?
Pay special attention to the special time. It is 4:45. We are required to hold the public hearing in a separate meeting from when you approve or are asked to approve the budget. So this is a special meeting for that public hearing only.
Okay? Everybody, 4:45, that's when we'll hold the budget hearing. All right, the next item on the agenda is to set public hearing to rescind City Code Section 17.02, parentheses 8, powers and duties, council committees for, let's see,
City code authorizes city council committees. The council had expressed an interest in discontinuing the committee structure. In order to do so, it would take an amendment to the city code, section 1702, sub 8.
all right.
And we're replacing those with the committee of the whole meeting instead, right?
just the committee of the whole meeting versus the individual council committees, correct? Now,
And
this ordinance amendment does not specify committee of the whole. That's an operational decision that the council has made, and you've done other action to set that up.
I'd make a motion.
Second.
first and a second, and this is setting the public hearing for February 28th, 2022 at 5 PM. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, Liberty Trail South Extension Project. Motion to,
Nope, that's after Brian talks.
what? Oh,
We're gonna consider the bids, and then that's after.
oh, okay.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Good. So on February 10th, related to the Liberty Trail South Extension Project, February 10th, the City of Independence received and opened bids. 7 bids were received on February 10th, and they ranged from $401,260 to $487,627 for the proposed improvements. As you'll recall, that project, we put together plans that split that into a base bid, which would go from where Liberty Trail ends at Bland Boulevard and extend the trail down to Triangle Park, and then a bid alternate to actually pave the unpaved section that doesn't have an all-weather surface north of Bland Boulevard up to Driscoll Dry Run Creek, where the concrete ends at this point. So that $401,260 includes both the base bid and the bid alternate that we prepared for you guys. That was low bid by Skyline Construction of Decorah. Skyline is the contractor that did take care of the Enterprise Rise project, Enterprise East Extension, and then up Anderson Lane to the new Priest facility. So they've done work here before, and I believe next meeting is the meeting where you have the opportunity to take action on the bids, and at that time, when it's appropriate to do so, we recommend award to Skyline based on the bids received.
What was your estimate of cost prior to the bids?
506.
506?
Yep.
So we did well.
Yep. Yep, good bidding environment. If you'll remember last year, the trail project came in above, so we hoped that we would see those peak material prices and labor prices come back down, and I think this reflects that. Any additional questions?
Okay,
Sounds good.
all right.
Any idea, sorry,
Yes, go ahead.
any idea when the work would begin and the,
The completion, I'm sorry, the completion date, we don't specify a start date.
well, the
on
window?
The window, I would say, as soon as the weather breaks, I think they'd be in here. With the amount of interest that we had in the aggressive pricing, I would anticipate that they're ready to get started on the work. October 15th is the completion date for the project.
Because I've been asked that by several people in those neighborhoods down there that'll be directly affected by the
Yeah,
construction.
yep, we're hoping the sooner the better.
Sure.
All right,
Any
thank
other
you.
Thank you, Brian.
Comments, questions?
Bet.
Okay, at this point, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn further action of bids until Monday, February 28th, 2022 at 5 PM.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, roll call?
Pursuant,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah. Yes. Kurtz.
Yes.
All right, next item on the agenda is setting date of public hearing on proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of costs for Liberty Trail project, or Liberty Trail South Extension Project. Entertain a motion to set a public hearing date of Monday, February 28th, 2022 at 5 PM
for the proposed plan, specifications, forms of contract, and estimate of cost for the Liberty Trail South Extension Project.
So moved.
Second.
All right, first and a second, roll call?
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prusader.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Next on the agenda is the 2022 Street Rehabilitation Project. And we are, first motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. We are now public hearing, and at this point in time, have we had written comments?
Yes.
How many?
I know we've gotten,
We have 2 written comments, and we have a petition that has been filed as remonstrance to the project. At this point, you're in a public hearing. I would recommend taking public comment first.
Okay. If you come up and name and address, please.
Good evening. The name is John Denig. I live at 203 9th Avenue Southwest, 1 block south of Checkered Flag. And I come today to talk to you about 2nd Street Southwest as well as 9th Avenue Southwest. We have 1 block of 9th Avenue and several blocks of 2nd Street. First of all, as I went out and did our petition, I found quite a lot of anger out there. Out of the probably 66 people we talked to, and 66 plus or minus 3 or 4, we found 56 signed our petition. And every single one of them had some reasons that they wanted to sign and they wanted things to change. One of the things that was brought up, and I think it's a very valid question, and that is, why is it that there are some cities in the Midwest, our size, that do not assess street repair or street building to any of the property owners? Why is it this city does? Now, either that's fake news, like we heard ISIS claimed responsibility for the sinking of the Titanic. Either it's fake news or it's truth. And we can find that out by surveying other cities in the state of Iowa, our size, to see if that's true. If that is true, what are we doing differently that we have to assess property owners for street repairs and street building? Second thing, if that is true, I would like to know how we fund the utilities that exist that must be maintained under the streets. If a street is dug up and water sewer systems or storm sewer pipes are destroyed or broken or need to be repaired, does that go on the homeowners as well? Or is that a city type of thing? That's my question. And the question is begged because since I moved in, we have had problems with stormwater. We were there probably 3 months and we got a hard rain. We had this much water in the street. And that's not a big deal because the people who go through, they get a bath and that's no big thing. My wife had just finished planting plants in the backyard, putting bark around it, trying to make the place look very beautiful. Here comes the creek down the backyard. It wiped out all the plants and it took the bark to the neighbors. 3 times that happened. Something needs to be done there. Now, either number one, we have a problem, and the rock that is covering the grates in Second Street needs to be kept off of those grates, or number two, the pipes under the streets are not large enough for the new parking lots that have been paved at Casey's, at the lumber yard, and at Checkered Flag, as well as any parking lots farther north than there, because all that water goes down 9th Avenue. We have a dry run creek just to the west of me. And many times, that creek, you look down the creek and it's full of trees and garbage, making dams to make sure that the water doesn't go down there. Okay, that's something that needs to be addressed long-term. And I will be dead opposed to any kind of change to the streets until we have some facts based on surveys, based on experience. Okay, second thing, I checked with the bus barn over there at the school, and Kim over there tells me that there are 9 buses that travel that street going outwards, outgoing buses, and 1 coming in from St. John's. On the flip side, in the afternoon, there's 9 buses coming in to pick up students and 1 taking them out to St. John's. I am wondering why this street is getting such high traffic from the school district, and there are 4 taxpayers picking up the bill for the entire street, for the distance between the school district boundary and 9th Avenue. We have the owner of the fourplex, we have the owner of the welding shop, we have my deal in it, as well as the lady on the other corner. Out of the 4, 2 of them have streets on both sides. So it's a corner type lot. If you take those 2 corner owners out of there, the whole street is being funded by 2 owners, the welding shop and the fourplex. People are livid about that. It's just not fair. Okay, third thing, I think that whoever is actually causing the damage to the streets needs to be held accountable for it. If it is a residential streets, there should be no semis on it. And if it is not a residential streets, the city needs to be kicking in a lot more than what they are. Okay, currently, all Second Street traffic on the street is not, there's nothing wrong with the surface of Second Street. From what I can see, there's cracks in it, but no serious damage. My question is, what about underneath the storm sewers? And to put a new street over storm sewers that aren't doing the job is stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Okay, number 3. Excuse me, number 4. Obviously, we need to do the work on the utilities that are needed before we put a new street down. I would much rather have excellent sewers, excellent storm sewers, excellent water system, and electricity and gas and all that other stuff, rather than a beautiful street. A beautiful street today that is dug up so we can replace the sewers and things tomorrow, that's foolish, absolutely foolish. I would like to know why the corner houses are getting hit twice. Once for one side, once for the other. We've had several people say that they got a letter for one street and another letter for the other street. I personally, $3,900 for one street. Now, if I'm going to get another $3,900 for the other street, I'm going to be against the other street as well. And I'm going to go out and encourage other people to sign the petition. Rules need to be implemented today by this council or the next time by this council so that it's in black and white that if you live on a corner lot, you are assessed on the street where you get your mail. If it says 203 9th Avenue, you're assessed on 9th Avenue and nothing else. If you've got streets on all four sides, that one street is your street. That would make sense to me. Make it easier for you folks, would also make the whole thing simpler. I would like to see that adopted by the council, and I would like to see signatures on it so a future council cannot come along and say, oh, we're going to assess on both sides. You got a street on both sides, you're assessed on both sides. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Take very long. Good evening, everyone. My name is Linda Bagby. I live over on 614 5th Street Northwest, corner lot. The thing I objected to about some of this is that this letter to us came very quickly. It really didn't allow us enough time. I mean, we had to scurry to get petitions made, and John and I were out 4 hours on Saturday going door to door to people and talking to people. So we didn't really have a lot of time to respond to the letter, because the letter in itself says, if you do not respond by such and such, you're on this. You know, you bought it. Well, I don't believe that's a very fair thing to do to people. I mean, especially in today's age. I mean, people are like, you know, but does some work need to be done? Maybe. But I agree with John. The sanitary sewer system needs to be updated. Make sure that that's running smoothly before you spend a ton of money with curb and pavement. Firmly believe that. So I don't want to pay out any more money than anybody else, but I talked, when I was out and about Saturday, I talked to a lady that's lives on $1,100 a month. Could you guys do that? Any of you? And then pay this big amount that the city wants you to pay? No. No. But I just think we need to be more attentive to us, the people of Independence who live here and support this city, pay the taxes, and support the community. So I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have an individual online, if I can bring him up.
We have,
Oh,
oh,
okay. Go ahead.
One more.
okay, come on up.
My name is Don, or Donald Kohler, from 718 5th Street Northeast. And I just want to tell you that I disapprove, of the way that we got, like she just mentioned, 2 weeks in advance, saying you either pay this or whatever. And for one thing, I've lived there since 2007. The street has looked just the same as it has now as it did in 2007. I mean, only thing is, we live right on almost on the corner there, where it's kind of a little S-curve. I'd rather see stop signs, a three-way stop sign there. I mean, they've already hit the neighbor's garage, which he's got a pole building now, destroyed their previous owners 2 or 3 times. People park right there on that corner that come around. I mean, you have to swing way around, and you can't visually see either way. There's always, I mean, I can sit out my front living room window, and you can see people about getting hit constantly because they're coming around. Plus, there's probably many semis are coming down because I guess they're going down to Gators or Spawn and Rose or or whatever, and they're not necessarily coming around the curve. They come down Fifth Street, which is a residential street, which I think that there shouldn't be, any semi-traffic on there. I mean, you think they would go all the way up to 12th Street or further down there and come back this way. Other than that, I mean, everyone on our street, well, not including me, but I'm going to be retiring soon on a fixed budget. Most of them are retired. Don't know how they're going to even come. I don't even know how I would come up with the $1,900 period. And like he was saying before, why put a temporary street on there when I get a letter every year that I need to maybe sign up to get, in case my water breaks or my sewer breaks, carry out an extra insurance. So there must be something wrong with the sewers or something underneath, which should be, I think, addressed first before assessing somebody, just to me, putting a road on right now is temporary. Also, most cities, or not most cities, a lot of the cities, where's the 1 cent penny tax going to? The 1 cent penny tax, Waterloo, for example, they get all their roads fixed. Maybe not all at once, but this neighbor or that neighbor is going to get his street fixed, but it all comes out of penny tax. Other than that, I mean, I am totally against this. And, like I said, we just get a letter thrown in the mail and either do it or don't. So I'm totally opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you want everybody here first?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Dessa Randall, and I live at 710 First Street East. We own property on Second Street, and I'm not opposed to paying for a small portion of the road. It wasn't great before the detour from the bridge in Main Street started. That road is narrow, and when that detour started on that road, I called and talked to you. And at that time, verbally, you told me that we would not be responsible for it because I said I didn't want to pay for a road, and you told me, I didn't get it in writing, my bad, that we wouldn't be responsible for it. Now, we're responsible for it. That road in, I think, 2017 was considered poor condition, and after the detour traffic was changed to very poor, because of all the extra traffic, semis, concrete trucks, rock trucks, there's so much extra heavy traffic on that narrow road. I'm a realist. I'm not saying we shouldn't pay anything. I'd rather not pay anything, but if we could get a break in is it $30 a linear foot or whatever it is?
Yes, ma'am.
There are many of us on that road that would greatly appreciate that since it wouldn't need to be done yet for a couple of years, except for the detour traffic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else from the audience? Okay, we do have somebody on the call in.
I had somebody here with wanting to address it, and they are gone.
They're gone? I guess if you are watching and you did hang up, please call back here. We'll take your call. Coming back. Okay, any other comment on the public hearing? Al, when would we present answers for some of these questions?
Well, a couple of these I can address directly. First of all, not all cities use the special assessment process. It is simply a city-by-city choice as to whether or not they use a special assessment process. So to say other communities don't would be, I'll guarantee other communities do not use a special assessment. That would be standard. So I acknowledge that right up front. No reason to spend time doing a survey. I can tell you some communities do, some do not. The assessment is not for underground utilities, including stormwater, sanitary sewer, or water. This is simply a street assessment. Concerning the corner lots, I would concur. Our practice has been to only assess one of two sides, not a corner, where we would assess both sides. A few years back, we had an assessment policy. The city attorney recommended that we go away from our policy and stick to the the state code, chapter 384 of the state code that permits special assessments. So it is our practice not to assess both sides versus a formal policy. And that's just the council's decision. That's the way they've treated it to this point, but it is not a formal written or documented policy as was stated.
When would that happen if?
Well, the challenge that I have is we are required to notify you of all assessments in an assessment project. That's why there would be two letters or notice for two streets going out. The council, at the time that they assess the final assessment, at the end of the project is when they make the determination as to what those assessments would be. That's when your practice comes into effect, as to assess one and not the other. It's when you assign that final assessment. But it is not, we have to notify you of any streets that are in the assessment district, and we cannot pick and choose. It is either they're in or they are out of the assessment process. The utility insurance that was referenced, that's an offering that the city has taken advantage of. It doesn't do anything for us. It's simply an insurance program through the National League of Cities. This company has been vetted by the National League of Cities to provide you with extra insurance for your utilities, for your service lines, if you choose. Again, it doesn't do anything for the city for or against. It's just an offering if you would like to take advantage of it. If your service line for water or sewer might fail, it helps safeguard you. If you choose not to use the insurance, that is strictly a personal determination.
And that's the service line going to their house.
That's going from the main to your house, which you are responsible for. It is not the city's line. It is simply, for some people, that makes a big difference. For others, not so much. If they have a newer service line, they probably don't care, which I understand. But again, it is simply for your benefit if you choose to take advantage of it.
John, you have a question on this?
Yeah, I agree with you on the insurance policy, and I have no problem with that. If it breaks on my property, I am responsible whether I got the insurance or not. What I'm talking about is the pipes that go down the street that are owned by the city. If those break while the road bed is being fixed, who takes care of that? You folks, or does that go against property owners?
No, that is maintained by the city. The water main, the sewer mains, those are the cities. I will tell you that the sewer mains are televised before a project takes place. We're looking at them before we do a project, whether we do a complete reconstruction or an overlay, if you will. The city is looking at that. So we understand, we agree with you. We don't want to fix the street and go back in. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we make every effort in our capability to make sure that it doesn't before the street is fixed.
I have one person who wanted to know whether the city had been billed for the cutting of the concrete just west of Quick Star after all the concrete had been laid. And this morning you explained to me that it was a contractor's mistake. I would like to know whether the city got billed for that, or that was all on the contractor's insurance.
Well, I don't know how the contractor paid for it, but that was not on the city as far as the city correcting that oversight.
Wonderful, thank you.
I do have Mr. Fry back with his hand raised, so let me see if I can bring Mr. Fry into the...
this Tom Fry?
Yes. Mr. Fry, can you hear us? You are currently muted. Mr. Fry, can you hear us? Mr. Fry, can you hear us? You're currently muted.
I might address while Al's trying to work with Mr. Fry. We do the water lines and the sewer lines, those are enterprise or utility funds, and those parts of projects are paid for by the fees that we collect on your water and sewer bill. As far as the stormwater, you might remember last year, we instituted a stormwater utility fee, which each homeowner pays a flat fee, doesn't matter size of the home. And we're going to use those funds similar to the water and sewer to start working on the stormwater problems. First thing we want to do here in 2023, and we've talked with Mr. Crawford, is before we start getting too much into stormwater, to kind of do an overall of the city to determine where we've got problems with stormwater lines. And you might remember there were a couple of lines that we did totally replace the concrete because we had to replace some of the stormwater lines coming off of First Street West a year or so ago, because they were broken and we had water building up in the middle of the block. First Street West has some serious stormwater problems. We've talked about that. We have put that in the budget. We're hoping to get, I think that's 2026, we've talked about that, and that would be if we can get some federal or state money to help us with that project, we would do a similar project as we did with First Street East, where we did a total reconstruction, where we replaced the stormwater, we replaced sewer, water lines. That's why First Street East took so long. 150 North took so long, because we did the utilities underneath. And 150 South is going to be a similar project. We have state funding for removal of the concrete, all the reconstruction, but the city will be responsible for all of the infrastructure underneath that street, which will cost us probably just about as much as the concrete work. But again, we feel it'd be ridiculous to leave the old underneath and put new concrete over. So we do hear you on what you're saying. As Mr. Roeder said, we do have the sewer plant. We come in and they do run a TV camera down through the sewer lines before we work on these streets. I'm not sure, Mr. Crawford, do we do that on the stormwater too?
The street department assesses the stormwater. Todd can probably speak to that later.
Brian, do you want to come up to the?
Sure. Yeah, Todd can probably speak for what the street department does on the stormwater. The stormwater kind of falls under streets because until last year, as you all know, it didn't have its own revenue source until the stormwater utility was put in.
Okay.
So our plan is to,
Todd, maybe for people here and on TV, who you are.
Todd Sherrod, City of Independence, Building and Code and Streets. So with this, we have the new stormwater utility, and the first thing to do is to get an overall assessment of everything. That's what we'd like to do. There's certain areas that we know we have deficiencies on, such as Fifth Avenue Southwest, just areas where total, a complete restoration needs to be taken care of. We already know the stuff underneath is bad, the surface is bad, curb and gutter. So that would be a project that we could say, yep, we already know we need to fix all these issues. Until we get the whole stormwater survey throughout the town, we really have to specialize in the areas where we know we have the concerns. So over by Wapsie Valley Creamery and back over in that area by the fairgrounds. So those are hot spots that we already know about. And then those are ones we can work on until we get all the data collected. So.
Okay. Do you have, Mr. Fry?
No, I do not.
One thing, Brian, maybe you could explain, I had somebody today on the phone, what the process is where we do the crack, seed, and overlay, and why we do that?
Yeah, there's still value that's left in that concrete that's there, even though it's broken up, it's deteriorated. So the areas that are deteriorated that Todd and his crews are going out there and having to patch and fill in and dig out some of the cold patch, put back in. Sometimes it's hot mix, sometimes it's a cold mix. We will, as part of the plans, the last 4 years, this is the 5th year of that rehabilitation program, we do full depth repair in those areas where the concrete is deteriorated and it really doesn't have any structural integrity left. So we'll do full depth patch in those areas, and we crack the rest of the paving to create a uniform subbase that we can overlay. And we separate that from, or we isolate the curb from that before we do that crack and seat process, so that we don't crack the curb and gutter section when we go through to do that rehabilitation. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, and that also, doing that process, they've had good extra length of life of overlay?
Yes. In fact, one of the first ones I was involved with was in 1995. It was 7th Avenue Northeast. So we're going on 27 years on a rehab project where we've extended the life of the paving by doing this rehab method. And this rehab method is not unique to Independence, Iowa. It's done all over the country.
If the curb and gutter is cracked or damaged or missing, do we replace that before we pour the street then?
Yes, there's spot repairs. You probably noticed those on last year's project. We had a fair amount of curb replacement that we did, and a lot of that has to do with the condition of the curb. It also has to do with its ability to carry stormwater. So those areas that have sunken, we mark those areas for replacement, and they're replaced before we come through with the asphalt overlay and the rehab as part of the project.
I had somebody ask me the question, because we don't actually take the concrete out, how long would it take to do, say, we're doing a lot of short block, 1 or 2 blocks this year. How long, say, would it take them once they start a 2-block period to do this, come in, break it up, set it, smooth it out, and then put the overlay before they're done?
It would depend on the amount of full depth base repair, the condition of the street. That's the part that's lengthy. They come in with full depth mills to mill out that rotten concrete or deteriorated concrete, and then put the full depth patch back in. The beauty of asphalt, or one of the beauties of asphalt, is that you're out of your driveway for hours rather than days, like with concrete. So that's one of the things that we've gotten positive feedback on, is that you don't have to wait 7 days for the concrete to gain strength in order to get back in your driveway. And we'd like to keep people off for 6 to 12 hours, depending upon how much sunlight we've got. The hotter that paving is, the more susceptible it is to scuffing and tearing if we've got, especially vehicles turning their wheels on it when it's fresh. So, but if there was an emergency or something like that, you can always drive across a hot mat in an emergency situation. One of the other comments that or questions that we've
The
fielded.
most time-consuming part is the actual cracking seat and the patching that you have to do, and the actual asphalt.
The
It's 1 or
asphalt-
2 days and you're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, and those crews are really pretty impressive to watch. They put it down in two separate lifts. They do a base lift, and then they come back with that surface lift. But they're moving. When the paver's here and the mix is hot, they've got to get it down while it's hot. So they move very quickly.
So it's the preparation that takes the big amount of time.
It is. It is. They do that. They're pretty. They expedite that work pretty well too. And again, they put that hot mix patch in place, and the street's back open. It's not great, but it's back open before they come and do that overlay.
One of the things I like about it is, and this is for everybody out here too, it's much cheaper to do the crack and seat than it is to concrete a street. For example, how much would a block of reconstructed concrete versus crack and seat be?
It's anywhere from 3 to 3.5 times the money to do a full reconstruction. And you guys have seen that. The city council has seen that.
10th Street and stuff.
With Fifth Avenue from First to Second in the southwest, and 10th Street southwest from Sixth Avenue to the end. And that was a project that was considered by a previous council years ago. I was elected not to do it, and the concrete deteriorated to the point where it was no longer a candidate for crack and seat rehabilitation. So
And to go with that, I mean, if we're gonna keep on, if we lay off of these ones that have the ability to do crack and seat, then it's gonna go to a full depth, because it won't be able to.
Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate you guys talking to us.
Sure, you're welcome.
Thank you.
One thing I'd like to add is, it's not gonna get any better by not doing anything, and it's never gonna get any cheaper. So, you know, I understand the quandary, but that's just food for thought.
Yeah, come on up.
I'm Jim Hoskins, I own the property at
Uh,
614.
I'm sorry, could you,
James Hoskins, I
Okay.
own the property at 614 6th Street Northeast, or Northwest. I guess everything else has been answered for me. I'm building a building on that street that's being assessed this summer, and wanted to coordinate that. I've talked with Todd, and that seems all okay. On the letter that you sent out, there's not a date that assessment needs to be paid by? I don't have $4,000 in my pocket today, so.
So the letter that went out, so we have everybody on the same page, that is the preliminary assessment. That means that we're telling you that we are considering this project. At this point, this is the part of the process, part of your process to let us know what you think. If the process moves ahead, that notice will be followed by the construction. When the project is all done and we have all the numbers in as far as what the final costs are, you will receive the final assessment. That's the piece that says, this is how much you actually owe. Right now, it's an estimate. It will say, this is how much you actually owe. You have 30 days from the, whatever date it is to pay it in full, or the council has been pretty gracious and put it out on 10-year assessments on property taxes, so it doesn't all have to be paid at once.
you say 10 years?
10 years.
I've been wrong. I've been telling people 5, so listen to him.
We have,
I said too.
Yeah.
we have traditionally done 10 years. Council gets to set that date. We don't make that decision for you, but historically, we have done 10 years. We have historically done 4% interest on that because there is a cost to it. The city is carrying that debt over that time frame. But again, those are decisions that are not made until the end of the project. That's why it doesn't have a date on there.
Okay.
It is just saying, our estimate is, whatever the number is that's on there.
Okay.
That's important because by state code, that number can never go higher, regardless of what the costs are. That's the most that can be assessed to a property owner. The council can reduce it, they cannot increase it once that number is set.
Okay. Now, do you have, should this go ahead, do you have any idea of dates when these might occur? I mean, I hate to have a new street out in front of my place and have to tear it up.
I don't know that we have a date at this point. We still have to do some other work to get contractors in. If it moves ahead, I think that that would be something that we would want to coordinate with you and the contractor and the engineer before we got to that point. So I think there's an opportunity to work together should the project move ahead.
That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, I guess you guys choose who gets to come up.
Come on up.
Come on up. I have to say, this has been one of our better public hearings. I've sat here when nobody says anything, so thank you,
One
guys.
question. The 10 years to pay option, is that something that is automatic? You guys set that? Do we need to ask for that?
No, that is something the council considers at the end of the project, and I have to be very careful because the council has to set that. I don't get to, and we don't make that decision now. That is something that's made with the final assessment. Our practice has been to do 10 years. Our practice has been 4%. The state code has a large range of options in there. That's just the most practical, and it has proven for the size of these assessments to be the most practical.
I think she was asking, though, if she doesn't want to pay it in 30 days, should she have to tell us so it goes on?
Yeah, can I,
Oh.
like, do I need to say, I'm requesting that you please, at the end of this project, do the 10-year option?
Well, we would love to hear that request. You don't have to, the
Okay, well,
council.
I'm requesting.
You're right. I understand. The council will set those parameters, and I think they hear you, and.
Yep. I just wanted to
again,
make sure
That's
that
a
I,
really good idea.
At the,
and
at,
it's worked.
yeah.
yes, and at
We
the
have
end
a
of the.
budget, and we can't, I don't have that
That-
much money, and so, no, we
To-
need 10 years.
And this way,
Totally
you do pay a portion every year.
Yes.
It's over a 10-year period. It's equal amounts each year.
And that makes it more affordable
And then
and
if,
more
you
reasonable.
get 5 years into it, and you might say, I want to pay it all off now.
Right.
And you can do that. There's no penalty for paying it off really.
Correct. And the other piece of it is, when that letter comes out and the council says, we're going to do 10 years, you simply pay it all within the 30 days, or it defaults to the tax rolls and goes under the 10 years if that's what the council says.
Okay,
So, to answer your question at the back end, you don't have to ask for it then either. Whatever date, time frame they set, that's automatic.
Okay.
If it's not paid in the 30 days.
thank you.
Does that
Wait.
make it more feasible or for folks that came up here to talk? I mean, how, I'm just curious.
I'm sure it would, but the thing of it is,
We,
that's going to
You need to come up.
Sorry.
The only thing is, if you get that bill, and you say you're going to stretch it out 10 years for people, you take that amount and you divide it by 10 years, interest-free, right?
No,
No.
4%.
See,
that's what we just said.
couldn't hear you.
Yeah,
I
no.
didn't hear you.
We've
I didn't hear you.
charged
I'm sorry.
4%
Okay,
in
okay,
the
okay,
past, 4%.
okay. 4%. So, those people that can't afford to pay it all at once, that's even a bigger hardship. Add 4% on, and are you going to add that right to their taxes on their house? Is that how that's happens, or you get a separate bill,
Get
or?
a separate bill from the treasurer's office for an assessment.
Well,
Okay.
but on your property tax statement.
But it's on your property tax
Okay,
statement.
so if you've got a mortgage on your house and your insurance and your taxes are escrowed, then is that going to affect that, or that's a separate bill altogether?
It's separate. It was on mine.
It is, separate,
Yeah.
John, okay. Answer my question, thank you.
Gentlemen, you want to come on up? Don?
Yeah, my name is Don Kohler, 718 Fifth Street, Northeast. My first phone call, I spoke to Mr. Roder on the phone. He says that the majority of the people on the street, on our street, were against it. They wouldn't do the project. That's what I understood you on the phone. And second thing, how come we are getting assessed for the road when we don't even own the road? We own from the sidewalk to the street. That's, like I said, 3 different towns that I've lived in, we never, ever had assessed. The money always came out of what we paid on our property taxes or a penny tax.
I can answer.
Is it?
No, I
Okay,
can
another quick-
I can
okay.
answer why we're doing the assessment. many years ago, longer than I want to think, my first house, they redid the street. I lived down on 15th Avenue Northeast, just 3 houses up from First Street East. They redid the road just like we're doing now. I got assessed. My, young family, had kids. We didn't go on a trip that we had promised the kids. But we decided to pay it all at that time. When I went on the council 14 years ago, I was shocked. I was getting phone calls from people wanting their streets fixed. The number one issue when I first ran for the city council was our streets are crap in Independence. Why aren't we fixing the streets? And I want my street fixed right away. And I thought, wow, I don't know that I would have said that. They called me up and said, we're going to fix your street and you got to pay part of it. Well, I got on the city council and I asked, and they said, well, a few years ago we had a little bit of extra money, so we decided not to assess anymore. I said, oh, well, what happened? We ran out of extra money. I said, well, then what happened? We haven't been fixing streets for about 15 or 20 years because the city cannot afford. The part that the city pays for, we borrow that. If you look when you see our budget that we'll be doing the next meeting, we have a debt service on there where we borrow money to pay for the city's part. Now, the thing that's been really good for us over the last 10 years, and most of you that have refinanced your house know exactly what I'm talking about, interest rates have been rock bottom. When I bought my first house, I paid 9%, 9 or 9.5%. And my father-in-law thought that was terrible. He went home, he called me the next day and said, buy it. That's not bad. What happened then is now interest rates, we've been able to borrow money, the city, we've been getting loan, when we sell bonds, that's how we borrow. We've been getting them for what, 1.2, 1.4% interest for 20, 25-year bonds. So for us, it's a no-brainer to catch up with our streets. And that was one of the things the council talked about 5 years ago as we said, hey, interest rates are rock bottom. We put together a 5-year plan to fix the worst streets. We brought in a group from Iowa State and they did a study. We brought in Crawford Engineering. They did a study looked over the material. And we had street department people go out with Crawford Engineering. What we found was we could not, even with rock bottom debt service, we didn't want to borrow the money to pay 100%. We couldn't afford it. We would have had a debt service that would have raised everyone's property taxes significantly. So we went back and we said, well, when I first moved to Independence, people used to say Independence had great streets. We had a lot of Portland concrete streets. You'd go to some of the communities around us and they had a lot of the asphalt, a lot of the P-rock with tar. They went cheap. But as we didn't fix our streets, I'll give you a prime example. Terrace Drive, considered one of the better places to live in Independence, has tar and P-rock over it. Still blows my mind to have that. So what the council did is we said, how can we afford, we're going to set aside X number of dollars over 5 years, what, $275,000 a year that the city will put toward new streets each year. Now, we've been very fortunate because Crawford Engineering has found us some state and federal money that we've been actually able to do more streets than we had hoped to, because we were able to get some money to do 50 cents on the dollar, which allowed us to do some sections of Portland concrete that we weren't even planning on doing. But we went to the assessing because that way the city could afford to redo the streets, rehab the streets without a huge debt service levy. Now, good or bad, a new street in front of a house makes a difference. A good street in front of the house, now somebody told me today, well, if I bought a house, I wouldn't care what the street was like in front of me. I don't think so. If I had to go through potholes and all kinds of streets and I had two houses to choose from, guess which house you'd probably buy? So a good street does increase the sellability of your house. Whether it's $30 a linear foot, I don't know. That's a number that we came up with that we thought was fair. But that's, a long story short, that's where we came up with assessment. By the property owners that had the street in front of them and the city borrowing money, we've been able to do, 40 blocks? 40 terrible blocks of streets in the last 4 years, and this is the 5th year. Obviously, we didn't do your streets 4 years ago because they weren't considered the worst of the worst, but they,
Look the same as they did 4 years ago.
as we've moved up the rating system, the current streets that we're doing this summer are the next ones going up the list. And so that's how we came to doing your streets here this 5th year. Now, engineers' determination on deterioration of concrete, potential life expectancy, even though it looks kind of nice. I'll give you an example. I had particle board siding on my first house. You looked at that particle board and boy, that was the best thing since sliced butter. It was cheapest siding you could put on your house. After about 10 years, you know what I could do? It looked great on the surface, but if I went up and punched the right spot, I put a hole right through it because it rotted on the back side. So it looked great on top, but when you got down underneath, there was nothing good there. And that's kind of what Mr. Crawford's talking about when he's assessing the concrete and the longevity. How much longer does that street have to have life before we have to tear all of the concrete out? Now, you may not like the answer I just gave you, but I've given you the answer on how we got to this point where you're standing there and I'm sitting here. And that's then that's your decision then with the petition on whether or not you continue to be in the program.
So is the homeowners 100% responsibility, or is the city paying part of this?
Al?
The assessment is based on a $30 per linear foot assessment, so it is not 100%. The city is still picking up part of the tab as well. We're sharing the cost all the way through.
Yeah, no, we're not assessing you 100% for doing it, which I think in some years past, we may have done much higher than $30 per linear foot. Of course, I was poor back then, and it probably seemed like it.
Yeah, in the last 7 years, we've always capped it at the $30 a linear foot.
Okay? All right,
Other than that, the majority of my street is against it, so I
okay.
just want to let you know.
Nope, and that's good.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us.
At this point, I don't want to cut anybody short, but I think it'd be appropriate to close the hearing. And because we do have a petition on file, I think that we are best to adjourn this topic to the February 28th meeting. There are some specific tasks that we have to do with that remonstrance or that petition before we can make any recommendations to the council.
Okay.
And if
Can I
the,
ask one question?
Oh, sure. Deb?
I've had quite a few calls about this, and so if those guys get the petition, what percentage do they have to have sign it, I guess, to get it stopped?
75% of the properties on the, in the project area, not a specific street, but the entire project area.
The assessed value.
Of the assessed value, I'm sorry, yes, 75% of the assessed value within the project area.
I had a number of people call me, and that's kind of a hard concept to gather, but we're doing, what, nine blocks? And if you took a 5-gallon bucket and put it on each of those blocks, that's an assessed value for that block or those houses that are on that block. You dump it all into one big pot, and you got 45 gallons of water. Now, for the petition to, what Al is saying, for the petition to be able to stop the project, you have to have 75% of those 45 gallons of the whole project. So it's not one individual block. If you have 75% of that block's assessed value, it's all 8 or 9 blocks that we're looking at all over the city. That all has to be put in one pot and then 75%. Now, the other question I had today was, there's some city property and some county property. That falls in the valuation. So I have no idea how much that valuation is. We, as Al said, we are going by the state code. And the state code says, dump the city's water in the pot, even though we don't technically have any skin in the game as far as being assessed. We are, because we're borrowing money, but it's a different system. So obviously, we're not going to sign a petition. I mean, I'm being real honest with you. Yeah, so that's why we're going to postpone this, because we wanted to make sure what all the assessed valuations are. Al and Mr. Crawford are going to work on that. We're going to make sure that we have, rather than 2 or 3 hours today of everybody scurrying around, we decided let's take a break here and figure this out before we move to the next step. John, you want to come up? One last chance.
Do we have an idea as to when this meeting will take place? 'Cause I'd like to get back to the people that I've surveyed and tell them that if you really want your signature to count, you need to be at that meeting. We need to have 60 extra people at that meeting.
The petition, the remonstrance has been received, so we have that. It isn't about additional signatures or what have you. It is, we've received it, we've acknowledged it. At this point, we have to determine whether or not it meets the 75% threshold, and that triggers different steps for the council in the next meeting. The next meeting is February 28th, 5 o'clock, right here. It's just moving it 2 weeks down to the next meeting.
And I know we've been very clear trying to explain to everybody that called us on this 75% assessed value.
Okay?
Okay?
I think you had 70% on an email, that's what I was asking about.
I thought it was 70%, Deb, that was my mistake. We did confirm that when we received the petition. It is 75% of the values, the valuation.
Good question, Deb. Same thing.
I make a motion to.
Okay. Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
First and a second, and do we need a roll call on that?
Not for
Okay.
closing the hearing.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye,
Sorry, Deb. Opposed?
aye.
Oh, okay. Motion passes. Okay, and as Al said, if you look on your agendas underneath here, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn further action related to the 2022 street rehabilitation project to February 28th, 2022 at 5 PM.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a second, first and second, we
I need a roll
can do
call.
roll call.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prusmatter,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
we like to get you the information. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda So do we need to do the resolution of
You're
necessity?
jumping to Hummingbird part two.
Hummingbird?
Hummingbird two.
All right. Now we're moving to item number 8. We're doing public hearing on proposed designation of Hummingbird 2 Housing Urban Renewal. I'll entertain a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I'll entertain a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are now in public hearing. Have we had any written? No?
Nothing for Steve G. I have not received anything.
Okay.
Steve G. has requested your affirmative approval of his urban renewal area. He would like to build more condos south of his current development. This expands his project one more bump to the south.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions, comments?
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Okay, first and a second, do we have to have a roll?
Not for this.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We've now closed the public hearing. We'll move down to motion to approve a resolution to declare necessity and establish an urban renewal area pursuant to Section 403.4 of the Code of Iowa and approve urban renewal plan and project for the Hummingbird 2 Housing Urban Renewal Area.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a second, we'll have a roll call on this.
This is basically for TIF purposes, correct?
That is correct.
Just so the public is aware of that.
Right.
This is necessary in order to apply for TIF.
That is correct.
Good point, Mike.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prusmatter,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
Okay, motion carries. Resolution, no motion. All right, next we have a motion to approve an ordinance providing for the division of taxes levied on taxable property in the Hummingbird 2 Housing Urban Renewal Area pursuant to Section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a second. Al, you want to explain this?
This just decides how the taxes that are received in this urban renewal area are divided up. Perfunctory in nature, you just have to say, we're going to collect the taxes and distribute them.
Okay, roll call?
Prusmatter,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah. Kurtz.
Yes.
All right, motion carried. Moving on, next item here, we have a motion to approve a resolution setting a date of March 14th, 2022 at 5 PM, at which it is proposed to approve a development agreement with Steve G. Construction, Inc., including annual appropriation tax increment payments.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have first and a second. We're just setting a public hearing date here. Roll
Oh.
call?
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah. Kurtz.
Yes.
Prusmatter.
Yes.
Moving now down to CDBG Policies. This is kind of some housekeeping we have to do in regard to the CBG grants that we're getting downtown. First one is a motion to approve a resolution that adopts a code of conduct for the officers and employees of the City of Independence, Iowa.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a second, roll call?
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah. Kurtz.
Yes.
Prusmatter,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
All right, next we will move down to a motion to approve a resolution that establishes a policy and the prohibition of the use of excessive force.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Brusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
All right, motion passed. Peter was listening closely, right? What's that? We just passed the motion to no excessive force in town.
Well, we've already had one in place on the PD, so that works nice for the city as well.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Just giving you a hard time. Okay. All right, next we'll move down to a motion to approve a resolution that adopts a procurement policy.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and second, roll call?
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Brusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we go to motion to approve a resolution that adopts an anti-residential displacement and relocation assistance plan.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a second, roll call?
Kurtz,
Yes.
Brusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
All right, next, we have a motion to approve a resolution that actively promotes fair housing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a second, roll call?
Brusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Next, we have a motion to approve a resolution that adopts an equal opportunity policy.
Aren't we already governed by the EEOC on this?
We are, but this policy is required to receive the federal funds through the CDBG grant. Several of these we already have adopted one way or another. This updates it and reaffirms our position.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Second.
okay, first and a second, roll call.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Brusader.
Yes.
All right, next motion to approve a resolution that adopts a lobby policy governing the lobbying of housing and urban development personnel and/or Department of Commerce personnel.
Crazy.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a second, roll call.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Brusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
All right, next, we have a motion to authorize the city manager to be an authorized signature for the CBG grant 20-CVN-003.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a second, roll call.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Brusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Next, we have a motion to authorize the mayor to sign a competitive certification of compliance related to CDBG procurement standards.
Out in TV land, they're probably wondering what those four letters are for, Bob.
I can only pronounce those that fast once. Yep, what this simply means is,
Community Development
Block
Block Grant.
yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
So moved.
Second.
okay, a motion and a second, roll call?
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Brusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Okay, and if we didn't mention this, this is for the projects dealing with the facades along Main Street downtown with the grants.
Thanks, Bob.
Next, motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the administrative plan for the 20-CVN-003 grant.
So moved. Second.
Okay. I think probably the Mayor Pro Tem should sign all this. Okay, roll call?
Hannah.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Where's the Mayor Pro Tem?
It's John. Don't worry,
I'll bet you sign it.
Don't worry, Deb, I'll sign all this.
I just wonder how they got the sign. I didn't know we picked somebody.
Oh, yeah, no, that was, I think, when I sent out the appointments.
That is the mayor's appointment.
Yeah. Okay. Motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the administrative plan for the 21-DTR-02 grant. What is that?
One's for the standard CDBG grant. This one is for the COVID CDBG grant. There's two different grants, and so they have to delineate the number.
Okay.
Is that the ARPA money?
No, this is all CDBG. There's two grants. One is the standard CDBG, one is the COVID CDBG grant.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a second. Roll call?
Kurtz.
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Okay, I think we've made it. If you think this was bad, wait till we update the building code. That took us about 45 minutes, I think. Were you on there when we did that? Okay. Moving down to resolutions. First one, we have a motion to approve a resolution that decertifies certain assessments that were sent to the Buchanan County Treasurer.
These are folks that have already paid or have paid for their sidewalk assessments, and to take it off of their tax rolls, you have to decertify that assessment.
What are we doing with the rest of them? Did it just default to their property taxes?
Yes.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, first and a second. Roll call?
Crusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Motion carried. Next, we have a motion to repeal and replace Resolution 2022-27 that accepts and approves the declaration of submission of property to horizontal property regime for 3 Elms condominiums within 2 miles of the city limits of Independence, Iowa.
This modifies a resolution that you adopted that had an error in the, I believe it was the legal description.
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, first and second, roll call?
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
All right, next, we have a motion to approve a resolution authorizing participation in the Resilient Iowa Communities Program.
This is the program we discussed at the Committee of the Whole last week. It is simply our commitment to participate at no cost to the city. Just, if we want in as a pilot city, we're invited to join UNI and their Department of Environmental Studies to enter the Resilient Communities Program.
Okay,
So moved.
okay, first and second, roll call?
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Okay, that was the program one of the items we thought maybe the trails maps or something like that they had listed in their criteria we could use. Okay, the next 3 or 4 items, we need a motion and a second before we can have discussion. Just wanted to make that clear. So Next item here is motion to approve a resolution that authorizes part-time, should be permanent, part-time wages up to $15 per hour.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a second, any discussion?
I just want to clarify, that is moving, not taking it to 15, but capping it at 15, is that
Right,
correct?
it's capped at 15, they can go up to that. And it is permanent part-time.
Also for clarification, this is what we would authorize through our budget process. If departments felt like they had to go higher, they would find that out of their operating budgets for those above the $15 an hour. I think that came up in our department head meeting. So it is really your authorization for wages, but if they feel like they have to go higher, then they find that.
Okay? Any other questions or comments? Roll call?
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah. Yes. Kurtz,
Yes.
Brusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
All right, motion carried. Next, we have a motion to approve a resolution approving salary/wage increases effective July 1st, 2022 for uniformed police officers.
So
moved.
clarification would be $4 an hour increase, correct?
Yep, we have it listed down here for the salaried and then also the patrol officers underneath there. Got chief, captain, sergeant, or chief, captain, they are salary, but we break it down what their hourly would be, and then police sergeant and then patrol officers. Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second, first and a second. Any other comments or questions about this? Okay, so hearing none, roll call?
Hannah. Yes. Kurtz.
Yes.
Brusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
All right. Next, we have a motion to approve a resolution approving pay equity wage adjustments for specific salaried and non-bargaining employees. To be clear, this covers the paid police department administrative staff, parks and rec coordinator, city clerk salary, deputy clerk, associate clerk, and utility superintendent. And this arose out of the Esterville study comparing our wages to, was it, John, 20, 25? I can't remember.
25, I think.
25 different communities, determining that these positions were lower, basically at the bottom of all those communities. Originally, we had talked about in the committee of the whole doing a 10%, I'm sorry, 10%. What this is a proposal to break it down to 3 years at 2% above what we give other staff. So if we give 3%, we would give 5% for this year, next year, and the year after.
Point of order.
Okay?
This is nowhere near what we discussed in the committee of the whole. This is completely new. There was no talk of 5% raised for 3 consecutive years. There was the talk of the 10% or the 3% that was proposed, and the $4 an hour for the law enforcement.
Okay? Well, and first. Okay. I guess before we continue, I do need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we can have discussion. This was brought forth by me, and this was not discussed by the council itself at the committee of the whole. What I did hear was 10% was way too much. It was a budget buster. Sitting down, I kept thinking through what I heard was that 10% in 1 year was a budget buster, which I agree. So what I did is I put this together myself. This is a compromise, and if the council does not want to do it, they can vote no on it, but I put together a compromise where we're trying to take these 6 positions over 3 years and move them up to the middle of the pack of those cities that were in that Esterville study. We're not going to the top of the heap. We're not even going in the top 5. We're going to be right in the middle. And so what we would do is we would do 2% over whatever we give. So if next year we gave 1.5%, these 6 would get 3.5%. If the next year we did 4%, they would get 6%. And so after 3 years, we would have them up in the middle of the pack. So I take the blame or the credit for this. This is mine. I sent it out to everybody last week, way before the agenda, so it was no surprise tonight. I hope everybody thought about it. I know people have their feelings. We're open to discussion.
This is something I can live with. I mean, I felt like 10% increases were a huge budget buster, so I'm glad you brought this forth.
Okay, Tom? So, John?
I think it looks like a good compromise.
I agree.
Okay.
I think it's a terrible idea, and it's disingenuous because it's not what we discussed at all in the committee of the whole, and typically what we discuss in committee of the whole is what is brought forth at the next week's meeting.
What we talked about in the committee of the whole was a 10%.
Yeah. This is.
You
not-
want the 10%?
No. I don't want this one either.
Well, then we can vote it down. I mean, it's a compromise because what I heard was we can't do 10% all in one bunch. So compromise. I think these are valuable employees that are at the bottom of the heap. We want to show them that we do appreciate them and we want them to be paid comparable to what other communities are. If I really wanted to be a budget buster, I would have proposed something that have moved them to the top 1 or 2 places. That's not possible for our community. So, I mean, and they may be happy or not happy with this, but we're at least making a concerted effort if we do this. Okay, Deb, you have any comments?
I'll just do the vote, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I guess we'll have a roll call.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prusmatter,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
No.
Okay, motion is carried. All right, and the next one here, now this is kind of confusing, but the next one deals with any employees that haven't been dealt with in the first 3, okay? So that's where this one comes from. So this one is, I read the right one. Okay, motion to approve a resolution that approves salary wage increases effective July 1st, 2022. And is that 3%, Al?
It is based on 3% for all those that are not covered already, and assumes that we are doing an MOU with the collective bargaining units. We have not talked to any of them yet on any of these, based on understanding the council has to take action first.
I don't think they're going to argue with you about it.
I would be.
If I was worried about them, I would have reached out to them, but the council has to decide first.
Yep. So any other,
I need a motion and second first.
Motion.
okay,
Second.
okay, any other comments?
So this is for 3% for the affected employees on here.
Yeah, for anybody that wasn't covered in the last 3, the part-time, the police, and the 6 other spots.
And for clarification, those that you had just voted on do not get the 3% in addition to this. They've already been covered. So this is for those that have not been addressed in any way.
It's clarification for the 6 we just did, so you're saying 5%?
They get the 5%. They don't
Okay.
get the 3% on top
Okay,
of
I
it.
don't want to, come out of this looking like we gave them 2% and everybody else 3%. Okay, just want to make sure. All right, we have any other questions, comments? Okay, roll call?
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah. No. Kurtz.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, moving under other business, we have a motion here to approve the 2022 agreement for billing services and water meter reading with Independence Light and Power. Have motion, a second?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have it. Everybody understand, I think we had the report from what was said as to why that stayed higher than we thought it would be. Okay, no other questions, comments? Okay, roll call. Oh, sorry.
Clarification on this, the amount is extraordinarily low. Just for 2,200 houses in Independence, your postage alone is going to be $1,100 a month. So this is quite a significant bargain, in my opinion.
Okay, good comment. Okay, roll call.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next is a motion that deals with street department restructuring. Motion to modify the city organizational structure, separating the street superintendent position from the building and codes enforcement officer, and approve the amended job descriptions for each position. Have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and second. This comes out of Todd indicating he'd like the job split. We gave it a shot combining two jobs, and it just ended up not enough hours in the day for one person. So that's where this comes from. Any comments or questions or?
Yes, we gave him a $12,000 raise to do that job. So if he steps down, my opinion is we take that $12,000 and put it toward the next person that's going to take that job on.
I guess what we would have to do on this would be,
Council sets the sets the salary for the positions, but I would recommend against that. I don't think that meets what you just got done trying to do with all of your wage discussions. I will tell you, just for another point of clarification, the amended job descriptions revert the job descriptions to what they were a year ago. So while they are technically being amended, it is reverting them back to where they were. As far as the salary goes,
What's the raise?
the raise is not the job description, I understand.
can we, I guess I want to, how we handle this, can we do the splitting of the job description and then talk about salary? Can
Yes.
that be done tonight, or does that have to be put on next agenda?
That would happen at the next agenda.
I'd like to see some thought put into that before we,
I think the council has the right to do that if you feel like that's necessary, but I would recommend on the 28th and not tonight.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, that we can split it, but then we can talk salary, whatever somebody wants to make a resolution or something to be on February 28th agenda, we can deal with it
And we
then.
don't need a motion to do that. I'd recommend against that. I would just say that if you want to talk about that separate, we'll put it on that agenda as a standalone topic.
Okay, is that okay, Deb?
Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so do we have a,
I've got a motion and a second
Okay.
to do that, but I need a roll call vote.
okay, a roll call?
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
No.
Kurtz,
yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. The next is, is this just for discussion?
No, this is an action item. This is a motion to approve the strategic plan.
Okay, I didn't see the motion here.
Somebody didn't type it. That's him.
Not me.
I didn't type the motion in for you.
Okay, I will attempt to say the motion. For once, you weren't pointing at me, thank you.
Nope, past you.
I'll make a motion to approve the strategic plan.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the strategic plan that we did and worked on back in December. Any questions, comments? Again, these are guidelines. I mean, if we find that we don't have enough money to do them, or things, our ideas change, but it's kind of a roadmap on where we think the city's going.
Goals.
Goals, good point, John. Okay, any other comments, questions? Roll call.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah. Yes. Kurtz,
Yes.
Brusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Callahan.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next, we have a motion to approve the revised airport rules and regulations. This dealt with, I think, the fees for the tie-downs for the airplanes. We didn't want to put that in the city code.
This was recommended to be approved by the airport board, and it deals specifically with tie-downs on the tarmac and leases for long-term tie-downs with the requirement for insurance.
Okay, do I have motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any other further discussion, comments, questions? Okay, roll call.
Hannah. Yes. Kurtz.
Yes.
Brusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, engineer update. You didn't bring Mark with you?
Not tonight. Sorry to disappoint.
He had laryngitis.
He did talk the other day, didn't he?
Question though, who's got the red truck this week?
Either. We both lost out on the red truck this week. Unless there's questions, I just have one project update. I think we've covered most of the other stuff. I did get communication from the contractor on the 6th Avenue Southwest Trail project, so you may see some action out there on the fencing this week. A couple of warm days, so we'll see. Don't hold me to it, but they wanted to warn me, and so I'm letting you guys know that you might see some action out there on the fence, which would be a good thing.
Recommendation, council, don't hold your breath.
So they're responsible for the farm fence that goes from where it was torn up to the south, north to the corner posts where it borders the Crawford property?
Yes, sir.
And
Yep.
then privacy fencing where the posts are covered with?
On top of the retaining wall where those posts are covered with, they'll remove that and begin installing both the privacy fence and the other fence as was requested up there.
Sounds good.
Any other questions on any other projects?
Brian, did we ever hear back from them about our other?
Change order number 2, they have not. We've reached out to them a few times, and we don't have resolution on change order number 2. If you recall, change order number 2 is part of their last pay application, so you've also not acted on their last pay application. I don't have that number off the top of my head, but I think it was a sizable amount of work that they completed at that time, so those two are kind of linked together. So we are still waiting to hear an official response from them. Al and I had a lengthy meeting with representatives from the contractor. That's been over a month ago.
Almost 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and so no update on that.
I like
Good
Al's
question.
idea on that.
Well, there is no, I appreciate that. There is no idea until they respond to their change order, which they haven't done. We hold the money until they approve the change order. Council does not approve change orders prior to the contractor agreeing to them.
But I
So,
think your method is gonna be the best method to get the grass started and everything going good.
if we can get them in there and get them started, it's encouraging if they show up this week.
And the change order was your guys' response to their request for an extension, and you did grant an extension as part of that, so I think
Technically,
that
the
was.
days are still there if we don't approve that.
Right, so they have had some staff changeover, which I should let you know that they, the project manager for that particular project is no longer with the company, so they do have some different personnel that they're moving in to try and finish up the job for you as quick as possible, so. Any additional questions?
Well, thank you, Brian.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I don't believe we have any council committee reports. Any council members have any comments? Okay, no council members. Staff,
None tonight, thank you.
none?
Just very quickly, the chamber banquet is March 12th. The city has 8 seats. If you're interested in attending, please let me know. The Rural Economic Development Summit is in Ames, April 12th and 13th. The chamber, county economic development, and the city generally send, it's a 3-person team that they request. We have sent different people in different years, so if anybody's interested in participating, April 12th and 13th in Ames, let me know. But those are coming up. That's all I have.
Okay. Dick? Okay, Dave?
Dave, you're the only thing standing between.
Dave?
Since you have a gun, we're gonna let you.
Jen just gave me a look of death there. I would just note on the police monthly report, if you haven't noticed it already, the breakdowns of those traffic camera citations on the west side. So it shows you how many are getting issued at each speed. So that's in there as well. The one thing I can't do is break it down to show on the days that there isn't school. So it's by time, but I can't break it down any further. That in response to previous, especially you, John, Census Gatso will be here this week. I'll be meeting with them in reference to the cameras and the placements. So I'll have something more to report back from that. But we've worked our way onto that. And I know it's been slower than what you would have liked, but we're getting them in and we'll see them this week.
I had a question from a citizen.
Sure.
If school's called off early in the morning, are the cameras still recording events as if the school was in session?
Yep, the camera stays active, but what happens is anytime there's a citation issued for during those school times when it's set, that comes to us, and when we get those show a 0 fine. We then confirm that school had taken place at that time, so between that 6 mile an hour and 11 mile an hour, we approve that. If school was not in place at the time, because I had the one when we canceled due to the heavy snowfall and I was the one approving those, I went through and I think I canceled about 35 of them over that 2-day section when we didn't have school. And so that shows that our officers are doing that. And then alternatively, let's say an officer misses that and a citizen brings it to our attention, then we go ahead and just cancel that citation out on that altogether. But I think we're above 99.9% on doing those. Every now and again, it'll slip up, or an officer will forget to put the fine amount in because they have to go back and manually put that in, and those are then dismissed too. We do those to make sure that the citizens are getting a fair shake.
Okay, also, are you in charge of the recycling cameras?
Yep.
I've been up there twice in the last 2 weeks, and there's a broken TV up there, and
Yeah, and some of what happens is we can't see necessarily depending on where they park. And it goes back to what Al and I have talked about, the fact that Waste Management doesn't get with us and give us a specific time. And my guys do go through there, my guys and gals do go through there when they have a chance. But it's one of those things where with everything else in the city, where do you get it? But we're not getting any reports from Waste Management. And when I look at them on the cameras, I go through and see the motion, but if there's 2 cars there, sometimes I can't see what they're dumping and where they're dumping, and depending on where they put it type thing. The cameras are in the best spots possible, but that's a large area up there. But yeah, we keep trying on that.
they
It's,
busted the lid on one of the dumpsters too, so that they could chuck bigger stuff in there instead of going through the slots.
And I don't know why they would have done that, because those dumpsters, every time I've gone up there, are unlocked, and that's part of the problem. And I've discussed that with Al. When the waste stream gets mixed, we get billed, but yet it's hard for me because a lot of the citizens that come and use that put stuff in their plastic bags and they just dump it in, and I can never see what was in that bag. I can't determine what was in that bag, and I couldn't prove that. So it's only when we get the real blatant violations that we're able to track that back like we have in the past. But yeah, that's always been one of my arguments of why those are open to allow that. And I know it's easier for the citizens, and I applaud them for the recycling, but probably the 1% of our people that take advantage of that are causing problems for all of us.
I hadn't been up there in a while, I noticed that, and then I saw a busted TV big brass place.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to have those problems, but we're still trying on that. But like I said, it depends on where it was at, how many people were there at the time, as to whether I can even see it. So, and of course, Waste Management is not notifying us.
Right.
Any other questions for me? Well, I've got 15 minutes left, but I'll defer that back to you.
You're very generous, Dave. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I just have two things. One real quick, I had a phone call and a letter from Missy Andrews from Meals on Wheels, and they have a March program where they like to have elected officials to deliver a few meals, just kind of to get the elected officials involved. I did tell her that I could do March 15th at 10:45 if anybody wants to meet me up there at the senior center.
I will.
Okay, Mike? Okay, she said we won't do a full route, but we'll do maybe 2, 3, 4 meals. So, okay, that was one. The other is, did everybody receive their purple card in the mail?
Yeah, I didn't think that was a very well put together survey.
Okay, what that is where it has the complete the survey online, you do need to use that specific, you can't use capital letters or small if it has capital. It is case sensitive. So when you go online to do this, you have to type it in case sensitive. What this purple notification is it's a survey that the City of Independence is doing as part of our APA money, right?
ARPA money.
ARPA money, which is money that we received because of the COVID, and we will use the information we get from this survey to help us make a determination as a council on where we will spend this money. We want just, as part of the rules, we need citizen input. We tried to have a public meeting and we didn't really get much response, so we thought if we do this online survey, then people can go in and tell us what they think the money can be used for. So that's what, you should all be getting that in the mail here pretty soon.
You got ours today, I did ours.
Okay, so if you fill that out, we really appreciate it because it's a chance for citizens to have input. So, and that's all I have. I really appreciate, we had a long meeting, everybody worked hard, and I will entertain a motion to
So moved.
second,
Second.
adjourn. All in favor, say aye. No one's, it passes. Thank you. Thanks, Deb.
Hey, Al,
Yep.
I would be interested to go to the chamber banquet.
Okay, I'll put you on the list.
Thank you. Okay.